A woman with long dark hair is playfully pinching and stretching Vikir's cheeks, exclaiming with a huge smile how much she's missed her little brother. While Vikir endures this with a pained and annoyed look, his friends, Sancho, Tudor, and Piggy, watch from a distance, completely stunned. Tudor found it unbelievable that Vikir even had a family, and Piggy quietly told him that was rude. Sancho explained their confusion, noting that Vikir had never spoken about himself or his family, making the situation very strange. A flustered Tudor admitted he didn't even know why he was so shocked. The woman continued her overly affectionate act, leaning in very close to Vikir's face and asking if they should share a kiss after being apart for so long. Once Vikir's friends had left, the mood in the room changed completely. Vikir and the woman sat alone at a table. The act now over, he said it seemed everyone was finally gone. The woman, looking tired, rested her head in her hand and said she knew she had to come in person because the message was important. She suddenly winced in pain as an image flashed, showing her face split with Cindy Windy's, showing a red bump on her forehead. The woman complained that no brother in the world would hit his visiting older sister for showing a little affection. However, she quickly added that it was necessary to overact so much to remove any suspicion others might have about their relationship. She then sat back with her legs crossed, looking arrogant, and said he should be grateful she even bothered to visit him. Vikir cut the small talk short, telling her that was enough. He became serious and asked her directly how the trade with the natives of the sea was going. The woman's attitude immediately turned professional as well. She reported that things were going smoothly and that they had already completed 3 large trades. Vikir simply replied that it was good news. Following their business discussion, Vikir's expression turned serious as he began to ask another question. With his red eye glowing, he asked Cindy Windy if there was any news on the whereabouts of the Balak tribe. Cindy Windy closed her eyes and solemnly shook her head, telling him they still hadn't been able to find them. She explained that the tribe used to appear for every trade, but now they had vanished completely. She assured Vikir that they were actively tracking them, while Vikir listened in silence. Vikir considered this information, thinking that something must have happened to the Balak tribe. An image of their powerful, white-haired leader eyes came to his mind. He believed that with such an outstanding leader, he probably didn't need to worry too much about them. Changing the subject, Cindy Windy then presented a large bag to Vikir. She explained that, as he requested, the bag contained war funds. When opened, the bag was revealed to be overflowing with shining gold coins. With that business done, Cindy Windy's expression grew grim. She told Vikir there was one last thing he needed to know. She then revealed the identity of their main target, the head of the bourgeois family, a stern, bearded man named Bartholomew de Bourgeois. With her hands clasped and her own red eyes glowing with intensity, Cindy Windy delivered the critical information. Bartholomew is the demon.
Upon hearing that Bartholomew de Bourgeois is the demon, Bakir clasped his hands and processed the information. He had suspected that the one corrupting Quo Vadis, one of the 7 great families of the empire, would either be the family head or a very close aide. While he had expected this, having it confirmed directly made the weight of the situation feel much heavier. Cindy Windy continued, reminding Vikir that, as he knew, the bourgeois family was the wealthiest in the entire empire. She warned him that even if he wanted to make contact with them, the bag of gold she had brought would be far from enough to get them to even look his way. She offered to bring more funds if he needed them, but Bakir calmly said that this amount would be enough as seed money. Confused, Cindy Windy questioned what he meant by seed money. Bakir explained that one cannot simply make contact with the bourgeois family just by having a lot of money. They are only interested when the method of earning the money is interesting, Only then will they pay any attention. A sly grin spread across Bakir's face as he told her what he planned to do with the money. He revealed his target, the mock investment tournament, an event hosted by the bourgeois family themselves. Holding up a flyer for the competition, Bakir confidently declared his plan to use his knowledge to win the tournament. Hearing this, Cindy Wendy's face twisted in absolute shock, blue lightning crackling around her. She screamed that he was insane, shouting that his plan was nothing short of fraud. The scene shifts to a large, grand building at night. Inside a dimly lit office, a man with long, wavy blue hair named Venzimorg has been called. He enters and asks if he was summoned. The person who called him is a powerfully built man with long blonde hair holding a large, ornate sword. This is Winston Smith, the principal of Colosseo Academy. Venzimorg looks slightly surprised as his eyes fall upon the principal's weapon. He recognizes it as Owl, the Sword of Winter, and notes that since the principal is still armed, he must have just arrived. Venzi thinks about the principal's reputation as a legendary swordsman, a figure whose power was said to match the heads of the most powerful warrior families in the empire. Principal Smith smiles and motions for Venzi to take a seat, saying that his time off ended sooner than expected. Once they are seated, the principal gets straight to the point, asking about the trouble he's heard Professor Sadie has been causing in his absence. Venzi's expression turns to pure anger. He begins listing her offenses, which he claims are too many to even mention in full. He mentions her poor work ethic, her habit of drinking during class, and even attacking students. Leaning forward in frustration, Venzi declares that, to be frank, Sadie isn't a professor, but a criminal who belongs in the notorious Nouvelle Vague prison. The principal raises a hand to calm Venzi down, telling him not to be so harsh, though his own smile seems a bit forced. He then gives some context for Sadie's behavior. He explains that she's the last descendant of the Marquis de Sade, a family that was incredibly infamous before the empire's unification. The principal adds that the previous head of the Sade family is, in fact, currently imprisoned in Nouvelle Vague. Principal Smith addressed Venzi, stating that he still believed there was a good side to everyone, and that this must also be true for Professor Sadie. Venzi, clearly frustrated and thinking the principal was being naive, warned him that the final exams and parent-teacher conferences were fast approaching. He insisted that if Sadie caused problems again, as she did during the midterms, the situation would become completely unmanageable. The principal's solution was simple. He instructed Venzi to exclude her from any practical duties and to keep her out of the public eye as much as possible. Internally, Venzi was fuming with frustration, realizing that the principal had no intention of even considering disciplinary action or dismissal for Sadie. Standing up stiffly, Venzi curtly acknowledged the principal's decision, saying that if that's what he wanted, then it would be done. He then stated that since there was nothing left to discuss, he would take his leave. Venzi turned and walked out of the office, leaving Principal Smith sitting alone in the moonlight, thinking about the situation in silence. The scene shifts to a meeting of the Oracle Mock Investment Club. Piggy rushes in excitedly, holding a large stack of papers, and reports to Dolores that he has gathered all the requested information on the personal details and recent activities of the young masters of the bourgeois family. Meanwhile, Sinclair stands proudly before a chalkboard, announcing that she has completed a perfect analysis of the schedule, system, and structure of the upcoming mock investment tournament. Standing at the head of the table, Dolores, the club's vice president, praises them both for excellent work. A determined glint appears in her eye.
The story flashes back to a secret meeting between Dolores and Bakir, who is disguised as the Night Hound, stunned by the bag of gold coins on the table between them. Dolores asked where he could have possibly gotten so much, and Bakir reminded her that he had mentioned having a very rich friend. He explained that their plan was to use this seed money to earn even more, which would attract the attention of the bourgeois family's leadership. He told her that since he couldn't act in his own identity, it was her role to grow this fortune. He assured her that he would instruct her on the methods for making money later. Bakir had one additional instruction for her. He told her to find 2 capable individuals to handle the clerical, administrative, and other secretarial work so they could proceed with their plans smoothly. Returning to the present, Dolores looks at Piggy and Sinclair, the very people she recruited for this task after they beat out numerous other competitors. She overhears them bickering, with Sinclair correcting Piggy that they beat exactly 108 applicants. A wave of guilt and determination washes over Dolores. She clenches her fist, knowing that these innocent students have no idea they are preparing for a battle against a demon, though she has already put plans in place to protect them from the fallout. She resolves to keep them safe. Piggy then approaches the table and asks a very practical question. He points out that since the mock investment tournament is just a simulation, he wonders why they need real seed money. Leaning forward with a confident, almost mischievous smile, Dolores begins to explain. She reveals that it's because they're going to be making real investments. The revelation leaves both Piggy and Sinclair utterly speechless and shouting in shock. Dolores passionately declared their dual goal. Not only would they win the mock investment tournament, but they would also make a massive financial profit in the process. With a confident smile, she announced that she would take full responsibility for any negative consequences, though she privately knew that the Night Hound was the one truly taking the risk. Piggy and Sinclair huddled together, whispering nervously. Piggy worriedly asked if their vice president could be planning to scam them, but Sinclair quickly dismissed the idea, saying she didn't believe Dolores was that kind of person. After a moment, they turned back to Dolores with bright, trusting smiles. They declared that since she was so determined, they would follow her completely. They even admitted that the idea of using real money sounded much more exciting. Internally, Dolores was filled with gratitude for their unwavering trust. Feeling optimistic, Piggy suggested they should ask his young Bakir to join them. Sinclair immediately agreed, pointing out that having Bakir on their team would be a huge help. The mention of Bakir's name caught Dolores completely off guard, causing a bead of sweat to trickle down her face as she became visibly flustered. Piggy explained that Bakir had recently shown a keen interest in economics, reading the newspaper every morning, and added that Bakir was the kind of reassuring friend who brought a sense of calm just by being present. After a moment of thought, Dolores turned away slightly and asked Piggy to pass a message to Bakir the next time he saw him, an invitation to join their club. While Piggy seemed a little hesitant, Sinclair was overjoyed, pumping her fists and cheering at the idea. Piggy then noticed something about Dolores' expression, remarking that it looked familiar. He recalled that she had the exact same look on her face when she had come to their dorm looking for Bakir some time ago. As if prompted by the memory, Dolores turned and began walking away down a sunlit corridor. She told them to finish organizing the materials and head home, explaining that she had something to take care of and was leaving ahead of them. Sinclair watched her go, a hint of concern on her face. As Dolores walked alone down a sunlit corridor, her mind was completely filled with thoughts of Bakir. She recalled all the times she had wanted to speak with him, but couldn't find the words. She remembered when he asked to name the scholarship after Perry, and how she wished she could have talked with him about it, since he was there for Perry's final moments. She also thought of the time he fought on her behalf, and how he had supported her during the student council election. She realized she had always wanted to simply thank him. Thinking back, she recognized there had been so many opportunities to have a real conversation with him, from their time in the northern forests to the battle against the demon Andromalis, but she had failed to take any of them. She admitted to herself that whenever she was in front of him, she became flustered and couldn't speak properly. Even when she was with the mysterious Night Hound, her thoughts would inevitably drift back to Bakir. Stealing her resolve, she wondered if today would finally be the day she could say what she needed to say. Her thoughts were interrupted when she found herself standing directly in front of Bakir, who looked surprised to see her and asked what was wrong. Taking a deep breath and looking down for a moment to gather her courage, Dolores began to speak his name. Then, with a blush on her cheeks and a look of pure determination in her eyes, she looked directly at him and announced loudly that she had something she needed to tell him. This is the end of the video. If you want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel.